Hey, I'm Scotty Ogden and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're talking on contractor confessions. Ooh, this is a good one. You might want to stay till the very end. The most expensive mistake that I've ever made was not having a proper contract in place. Cost me over $70,000. I was doing a project for a customer and it was gonna be around $300,000. So I asked the customer for a $25,000 deposit just to make sure that he was serious about hiring us to do the job and assuming that he would run out of money. I did about $75,000 worth of work. I billed him that, waiting for that check to come in. Didn't come in. We kept working. We put another $70,000 worth of work on the project and I sent him yet another invoice and he called me and said, I need you to stop work. I'm going through a lawsuit right now. All of a sudden the camera just like, dook, 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 dook. So after I sent him the next invoice, he said, I need you to stop work because I'm in the middle of a lawsuit and I'm not gonna be able to pay any of the invoice. So luckily I had that $25,000 and then I had to hire my lawyer, cost me $10,000. I put a lien on the building. Then the building owner wanted to sue me. He needed that money. I got about 50 cents on the dollar. So I lost about $70,000 on that project. It was an ouch, for sure. Once I got brought in by a customer to fix another contractor's bad work, and it actually cost the customer 2.5 times what it would have cost them originally. But once we were framing a project for a builder, my price was $65,000 to frame it. He thought that was too expensive, so he hired another framer for $30,000 to do the same job I was gonna do for $65,000. He called me when the other framers were at the roof and he says, look, I need you to come and take over. I have fired the other framers, they're doing a horrible job. We went in there and started realizing that the walls were out of level, they weren't parallel, the house was out of level, the staircase wasn't parallel. All the way from the foundation, all the way up, the house was a complete disaster. That builder paid me $60,000 to fix the work that the other framer had done. He only paid the other framer about 15 grand. So he ended up paying more money than it would have cost to hire me in the first place. One of the most unexpected things I found at a job site was the original land was used to dump old blue clay when they built the Trans-Canada Highway. This excavation was only going to be about 2 feet deep for the entire length of this property. And when the excavator started, realized that the property was used to bring in old filth when they built Trans-Canada Highway. It had old blue clay, logs, rocks, everything. The excavator had to dig down almost 16 to 18 feet and then we had to bring structural fill back in. The owner was billed a lot of money. In the old days, there wasn't really any rules or regulations around fill. So when they dug the Trans-Canada Highway, they just filled in wherever they could in the surrounding lands. Nowadays, they put in dump trucks and they ship it somewhere else and be like, hey, that was my job. The contractor I was working for at the time hired us to ride on large compactors, rolling compactors. So we had 2 guys spraying down the structural fill that brought in and 1 guy driving around on this huge compactor. And we were there for probably close to 2 months, backfilling the site to bring it up to a level just to put a 2-foot foundation in. It was a lot of money, a lot of unexpected costs went into this. One thing we never know as contractors, we never know what's actually under the surface of the ground until we start digging. So it's really hard to bid on a job like that unless we do a test dig. But there's always surprises that come up. The most outrageous client request. I think most builders would agree that the most outrageous thing a client could ever suggest is that they're gonna do their own painting. This happens all the time. I never let my homeowners do any of the painting because that would literally be like, hey, I'm gonna buy this Bentley, but just leave the paint off because when I get it home, I'm gonna paint it myself. Could you imagine letting a homeowner paint their own home? It's understandable if you come to a home that's already finished and you're just putting a fresh coat of paint on an already painted wall, but when it needs to be primed and caulked and sealed and sanded and then painted over and over again, I'm never letting a homeowner do it unless they're a professional painter. The worst injury that I've seen from using a tool? The most common injury on a job site is when people shoot themselves with a nail gun. I had a guy shoot himself right through the hand here. A point was sticking out the end of his wrist on this side and the nail was on this side. And he says, what should I do? And I'm like, I don't know. I grabbed my hammer and I was ready to pull the nail. And he says, no, I think we should go to the hospital. So he spent 3.5 hours in the hospital and the doctor grabbed a block of wood and a hammer and he pulled the nail out of his wrist, just like I was gonna do. I don't suggest doing that. Going to the hospital is definitely number one. Like, luckily, it went clear through the meat and there was nothing there. I like saying meat. Right through your meat. Delicious. I want to hear what one of your confessions are as a builder. What are one of your biggest mistakes or something that happened on a job site that you'd love to share? Leave a comment. Don't forget to hit the bell notification and like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.